Hey guys, welcome to the final prep and reassembly of the Alcon calipers for the Ford Racing Puma. A few steps to go through, but we'll start by painting. I've cleaned up the shells, given them a good wash to degrease them, got rid of all the old brake dust and contaminants on it, given them a quick sand with a light sort of Brillo pad, getting ready for paint. So first step, primer, here we go. Okay, so now for the top coat. I use a 2K paint with a UV protection and a high resistant additive to it as well. You can see there's an activator in the bottom that releases the into the paint, and you get probably a good few hours work time on it. You need to be really careful with this stuff though. A friend of mine actually used it in their garage and has ended up with long-term lung issues as a result of it. So whenever I'm using it, always use it outside and always use it with a mask as well to stop breathing in any of the. So this is how you activate the paint. There's a ring in the bottom, you pull it out, turn it through 360 degrees, and that releases the activator in there. I've cleaned all the pad rails up by soaking them in a phosphoric acid rust remover. Removes all the brake contaminant on it and they come up looking lovely and shiny. So one thing we need to do before we reassemble the calipers is straighten up some of the pad rails. The corrosion that forms underneath them quite often distorts them quite a lot and pushes them up. As you can see from here, these should be lovely and straight, and some of them are quite wonky. In fact, one of these is a very interesting shape and looks like someone else has had a go at it in the past with a, well, looks like a pickaxe or something, looking at the shape it is, but really not straight at all and won't help the smooth operation of the calipers. So we're going to get on and just straighten those in a vise and get them all nice and true. So I've let the paint harden overnight, so it's not tacky at all now, it's gone nice and hard. And this is probably my favourite part, just like unwrapping Christmas presents, taking all the masking off and seeing the raw anodised aluminium underneath. So let's crack on with that. It's useful sometimes just to run around the edge with a blade, just to take off where the paint's bled under the tape a little bit, clean it up. It's really important when you paint these, particularly with a traditional paint, that any of the mating faces where it bolts to the hub or the two bolt together, that you mask those off and leave it as the raw anodizing on there, just to make sure that things clamp together properly. So there we go, all the masking stripped off and ready to start reassembly. Okay, so here's all the parts to reassemble the caliper. We've got 4 M8 by 60 bolts, which are the end bolts that go in the calipers. We've got 8 M8 by 70 bolts, which are the middle ones within the calipers. We've got some M5 by 8mm for the pad rails, which I tend to just go for the Allen head rather than the Torx head. Obviously then stainless steel bleed nipples, the bridge pipes and the pistons go in each of them, and a set of genuine Ford Racing seals to go in the calipers. A lot of people back in the day used to use stainless steel bolts. I don't really like that because the tensile strength isn't quite as much, so I go for the original spec, which is a 10.9 high tensile bolt, zinc plated. One of the important things on here is the connection for the brake hose, because as usual Ford modified a standard part to fit. So you can see this is what's supplied by Goodrich, which is a standard connector which has this piece on the end of it, but actually what Ford did is machine the end down The reason for that being, as you can probably see in here, when you actually put that in as it comes standard, it actually pushes out through the back of the caliper, which actually pushes the piston forward slightly. So those all have to be machined off before they go in. So I've said previously, a number of the threads in here, because you've got steel and aluminium caliper, do form some corrosion. So before I reassemble anything, I usually run a 3/8 UNF tap just down those holes to clear out any corrosion. Same with an M8 in the main caliper itself. Okay, so we're in the final stages now, ready to put these back together. What's absolutely critical on these is that you get everything really, really clean. What I tend to do is scrape around inside the recesses for the seals with a scribe, because you do get corrosion build up in those, and the slightest bit of corrosion is enough just to push the seal a little bit forwards and make the piston bind go back properly. So you need those absolutely spotlessly clean. So the seals then, we've got two of them. We've got the scraper seal, which is a sort of double rib one, and a main seal, which each go in the hole. So they're relatively easy to fit. Pop them in the recesses, making sure that they're not twisted at all. Last bit's always just a little bit tricky to get in. There we go, that's in nicely. And then the scraper seal is the one that goes in on the outside. What I tend to find is it's much easier to actually put the pistons in when the calipers are still split in half. As soon as you put them together, it's more difficult to get them in square, so much easier to do it this way around. So what I always find quite useful when you're doing these is making sure you leave all the bleed nipples out and bridge pipes, because that allows the air to release as the pistons push back. So there we go, once the seals are in all nice and tight, you're provided with some grease from Alcon, just like a silicone grease, only ever such a teeny amount as you can see in the pot here, but just enough to lubricate the seals and the pistons as they go in. So just give that a smear all around the edge of the seal. And then what we do is put a smear around the edge of the piston as well, just before that goes in, just to stop it sticking on the sides as we push it down in the hole. Getting these in, so let's just move it over here. First is just to get it through the scraper seal, which you'll find it just drops through nicely, and it's really important beyond that you get it nice and square, and then it should just push in like that. Lovely. Normally the 38mm pistons go in slightly easier than the 41s, so let's see how we get on with this one. Go through the scraper seal. There we go, beautiful. So that's that half complete. Same again with the other half. There you go, beautiful. So that's those all in. Next then is just to fit the pad rails back in. So we've got new stainless steel fittings for those. What you need to be careful is, and I've made the mistake of this, is actually making sure you get them in the right way. There's a little stop on them, and the stop goes on the inside of the caliper, because obviously the outside is held by retaining clips. So don't do what I did and put them all in the wrong way and then have to take them all out again before you put them on the car. So these, you just hold them nice down tight against the body of the caliper, tighten them up. So there we go, all beautiful and clean, pad rails in, ready to bolt back together. Put the calipers together. Two smaller ones in the outside. We just nip them up with the socket after that to make sure they're nice and tight. So there we go, all nipped up nice and tight. And the final piece to go in is the bridge pipe. Now these can be an absolute pain to get in. Ideally you want to just try and tweak these to the exact dimensions across there, if you can get them in finger tight to begin with. That's perfect. If you don't get there, you can end up cross-threading them and all sorts, so a little bit of effort at this time to get the spacing right is ideal. So there we go, one lovely shiny Alcon set of calipers ready to go back on the car and hopefully give some good life now. Generally we expect somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 miles before they need rebuilding again. As I said earlier in the video, because of rubbish sort of depositing behind the pistons in here, but hopefully give me some good squeal-free, enjoyable driving. Thanks for watching.